In 1977, when Tony Kiritsis, a businessman in Indianapolis, fell behind on his loan repayments for land he hoped to develop, his frustration and anger overtook him, and he kidnapped his mortgage broker Richard Hall and held him hostage at gunpoint in a 72-hour standoff with police, negotiators, and the media. With a wired trigger rigged to go off if Tony were to be shot by the police, the true-life events of one local man making his stand against big business is recreated by director Gus Van Sant and actor BILL SKARSGÅRD in the suspenseful drama Dead Man's Wire.
What are you here in Indianapolis? It is Tuesday, February 8th. I'm DJ Fred Temple. I thank you for listening.
Mr. Temple, sir, you have a caller?
I have dinner in 30 minutes is what I have.
That Tony Kiritsis fella's on the line and he's asking to speak to you. The guy with the shotgun in the man's neck.
You should open with that shit, James.
Bad times coming and I reap what I done sow.
Hello, Mr. Kiritsis.
It's an honor, Fred.
What's on your mind, brother?
This loan company's done me wrong. They set me up and schemed to ruin my life.
Well, let me tell you something.
I'm not a rich man, I'm a poor man, and that never bothered me.
I'm a man that's fighting for everything that he owns, sir.
Actor BILL SKARSGÅRD is no stranger to playing extraordinary characters, having delivered unforgettable performances as Count Orlok in Nosferatu, Marquis Vincent Bisset de Gramont in John Wick Chapter 4, and Pennywise in the It horror movie franchise. This time, however, Bill plays an ordinary man, Tony Kiritsis, who then thrusts himself into extraordinary circumstances. With Tony being a real person, Bill committed himself to extensive research into the man and the events that unfolded around him as a foundational route towards the process of transformation for himself as an actor.
Judita De Silva, Arise Play, Nigeria. In your process of imbibing information about the real-life Tony, at what point did you feel that you knew him well enough that you could stop being investigative and start being interpretive, because you could make instinctive choices as an actor and feel they would still lie within a credible realm of who the man actually was?
Yeah, it's a great question. Great question. And it was the first thing that was jarring to me, was that, Gus approached me with this thing. I've been a huge fan of Gus, of course, so very flattered. And as I was reading the script was great, but I just wished that the script came out of a vacuum, because as you're reading it, I was clicking these links that were in the script of like the actual footage and the actual phone call to the police station, the actual press conference. There was so much of the real Tony there. And I've played real people before, and I've always felt that I had like, okay, no, I can make a credible, like, you don't have to necessarily look exactly like the guy you're playing, but you're like, oh, there's enough similarities here where you can, where you can feel like you can portray them. And with Tony, the real Tony is a foot shorter than me, quite a bit older. I mean, it's just, if you look at two pictures of us next to each other, it's almost comical. Like, we have no similarities. And that was jarring to me, and I was listening a lot to his voice, and I was like, I thought, that there was something very sort of idiosyncratic about how he spoke, and his accent, but also his delivery, and it said something about where he came from and his background. And so I did a lot of research, a lot of study, and sort of worked with my own voice and trying to figure it out. I was sending things to Gus, like, here's where I'm at. Is this too much? Does it feel like a caricature? And he, Gus wasn't concerned. He was kind of like, all right, whatever you're doing, man. Like, he was like, he was not involved. He wasn't, he wasn't involved in what I was doing. He was just like, okay, explore whatever you're exploring. But then he was also just kind of not concerned. And then just like, at one point, he was just like, all right, well, gently sort of like, do your version of it. Just don't be too bogged down on the actual guy. And then I slowly started, our version, my version of Tony, kind of slowly became in the forefront, and then he started sort of dictating the performance and everything else that followed. So it was a tricky thing. It was a tricky thing.
So what's your plan, Tony, huh? What's next?
This is a dead man's wire.
If anybody yanks on me or yanks on that gun, he'll die.
Listen, Tony, you've made your point.
I want a formal apology from Meridian Mortgage. I want financial compensation for all the money I would have had, and I want to walk out of here a free man. You want some milk?
Sure thing, Tony.
You like ice in your milk?
No ice, Tony.
Good, because I don't remember if I filled the trade this morning. Was a whirlwind.
Now, Tony, a lot of worried folk out here.
This is unbelievable.
Okay, Dad, if you wanted to take a moment to apologize, I think it would expedite this release process.
I'm not going to admit guilt to something I didn't do.
Just apologize for what you did. Just apologize.
No, Tony, no. Stay strong, Richard.
Hello?
Palme d'Or winning veteran filmmaker Gus Van Sant directed Dead Man's Wire from a screenplay by Austin Kolodny. Van Sant's array of award-winning dramatic films, including To Die For, Good Will Hunting, and Milk, comprise both fictional and biographical stories, so the tale of the desperate kidnapper Tony Kiritsis was a compelling one to tell. And having assembled a cast of actors that include Al Pacino as the company-owning father of Richard Hall, Dacre Montgomery as Richard Hall, the mortgage broker turned hostage, Coleman Domingo as the radio DJ who platforms Tony on the airwaves during his hostage saga, and Mahala as the news correspondent desperate to get the scoop of her career. This was a story that, while entertaining to watch, its reflection of true events resonates with a relevance beyond the screen because of the commentary it offers on the position and opinion of everyday people.
But looking at the story from of Tony's actual story from the vantage point of where we are today, it feels like people always gravitate towards a Robin Hood-like figure. So from Tony in 1977 with a mortgage broker to Luigi Mangione in 2024 with an insurance executive, no matter how severe the crime, they can find empathy. Did that overarching elements to the story influence your processing of Tony as a character for a film?
Yeah, I mean, the Luigi Mangione thing happened like a month before we went into production to shoot. So I was already signed on to it, and I was like, whoa, like this thing is, there's a lot of parallels to this thing that happened as we were gearing up to it. So it definitely the movie felt very current, that coming off of something just like this. I think there's that thing, and just like the actual case of this, where it was broadcast on the news, sort of a 24/7, at very early stages of this 24/7 coverage of a situation, live hostage situation, where people were just so captivated that they could tune in at 2 a.m. to see where they were and what was going on at the time, and some people, I think the more of a lower sort of social class that you were from, maybe you identified more with Tony. You were like, yeah, screw these mortgage brokers and the banks, and I also feel that the system has betrayed me, and like I can't pay my mortgage, and they bled me out, and and then they side with them, because they're on an emotional level, they are with him, and then the more well off you are, the more you go, no, this is clearly a criminal, and we have if you don't pay your interest rates on time, yes, you lose the land and you lose your property, and this is all all well and good, and so and I think maybe when they watch this movie, they could also, it sort of mirrors the reaction of what people had live when it happened. Some people will go like, okay, like There's like some people will go, they will point to Al Pacino's character and like, oh, he's clearly the villain in this movie. And some people will go like, no, well, Tony is the bad guy. He's the villain in this movie. And it's sort of up for interpretation. And the fascination of it is where you're coming from and what you're fighting for and what you empathize with. But to me, it was a character like Tony was very understandable. Like I could for sure empathize where he came from, you know. And if you are cornered and you have had a whole life when you've never had enough and you've never had opportunities, but you've worked hard and you've never given up, and you've had this dream of some time of a one point breaking through where you came from, and then the system is taking that away from you, you can understand that someone like that, you know, becomes dangerous and becomes, you know, explosive. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for talking to us, and another brilliant performance. Really remarkable. Well done.
Thank you so much. Great questions. Thank you.
Some sick, twisted people in this world.
I hear you, Tony. But holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
He's a goddamn hero is what he is.
Finally, somebody has the balls to stand up to these parasites.
I'm not going to be humiliated by anyone. The whole world is going to know the truth. I'm a man of the people. I know the people.
He's a good man.
He's out of control.
The real shit show.
I'm a goddamn national hero, and don't you forget it.
I'm just getting started.